This episode is also brought to you by Oddmo's Pizza in Canby. Handmade awesome pizza plus craft beer, wine, and cider delivered. Order today at 503-263-8444 or visit them online at oddmos.com.
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
Your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports.
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, but they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game!
And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
Welcome to the Now Hear This Canby podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Martina Baker, and this is what's happening this week in our community. Canby will see an 8-way race for the 3 open seats on the City Council in November, as a flurry of applications came in during the last 2 weeks of filing ahead of Thursday's deadline. The ballot will include all 3 incumbents, Greg Parker, Sean Varwig, and Art Marine, as well as Mayor Brian Hodson, who failed to draw an opponent for the 5th straight election cycle. Canby is a very special place, and it's been such an honor to serve the community for these last 4 years, said Varwig, who was the last incumbent to file. I've spent the summer reflecting on my time on council and having in-depth discussions with my wife and kids, and we've decided to run for re-election. I'm so thankful for the support from my family and this community, and look forward to an opportunity to continue serving. The other candidates for the council seats include several familiar faces, including Jim Davis, who has served as chief of the Canby Fire District since 2014. Davis, who plans to retire from the fire service when his contract expires next June, said he was interested in serving on the council as a way to continue to give back to his community. The main reason I made the decision to run is that I'm fully committed to Canby, he said. I really love Canby and what it stands for. People being kind to each other, treating each other with respect, and maintaining that small town feel. Davis has been no stranger to public service since he and his wife, Michelle, moved to Canby in 1996. He joined Canby Fire as a volunteer firefighter 10 years before coming on as chief, and currently serves as president of the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and vice chair of the Canby Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. The rest of the council field will include Wilsonville librarian and pastor Brad Clark and maintenance director Herman Maldonado, both of whom applied for the most recent vacancy on the board, but were passed over in favor of Marine, Kara Hawkins, and Greg Llewellyn. Hawkins is a victim advocate for the Clackamas County District Attorney's Office, who has served on the Canby Budget Committee and as a volunteer organizer for several ivy abatement efforts at local parks. Maldonado also served on the Budget Committee earlier this year. Llewellyn is a corporate executive and financial advisor who served on the city's original Urban Renewal Committee and Industrial Area Association, according to his application. He is also a graduate of Canby High School and the University of Oregon. A pedestrian was killed in an early morning crash on Highway 99E in Canby on Thursday, near the Molalla River Bridge and Dix Canby Ford. According to Oregon State Police, which investigated the incident, 48-year-old Jeremy Hoffman was struck by a northbound Toyota Corolla at just before 4:30 a.m. Officials at the scene said the driver, 20-year-old Alexis Moncrief of Salem, was commuting to work when Hoffman ran in front of her car. Hoffman was transported by air ambulance to an area hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Moncrief was not injured. Highway 99E was closed for approximately 3 hours while the Oregon State Police Collision Reconstruction Unit investigated the scene. OSP was assisted by Canby Police Department, Canby Fire District, Life Flight Network, and ODOT. Americana at its finest returned to the heart of Canby this weekend as the annual Cutsforth Cruise-In brought more than 700 meticulously preserved hot rods and other classic cars to its traditional setting of Waite Park and the surrounding streets. Organized by Frank Cutsforth and Cutsforth's Market, along with the local classic car community and other organizations, the Cruise-In roared back into downtown Canby after 2 years at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, to the delight of organizers, participants, and attendees alike. It was so good, Cutsforth said afterward. The fairgrounds were really great to work with, really good to us during COVID. But there's something about doing this event at the park adjacent to downtown where people can talk and shop. Though final numbers were not available Sunday morning, Cutsforth felt confident that more than 700 cars had participated in this year's Cruise-In, probably a record number, he said. I never knew how we managed to fit that many cars in 3 or 4 blocks, but we do, Cutsforth said with a laugh. Cutsforth shouted out the Canby Christian Church, which opened its parking lot to serve the event this year, providing parking for an additional 70 or so cars just across the street from Waite Park. The Rotary Club of Canby nearly ran out of food serving the masses, as did other nonprofits and organizations that benefit from the event. Cutsforth said the event has grown and thrived over the years because, among other things, the classic car community loves coming together and sharing the fruits of their passion and hard work. You can feel it as you walk around and hear the conversations from people, Cutsforth said. You know, some of these folks are getting older. A lot of us are moving down the road a bit, but we're not ready to let this go just yet. One of Cutsforth's favorite moments this year came at the end of the event when a longtime classic car enthusiast and organizer of other large shows in Oregon approached him. He came over, looked at me, and I almost thought for a second that he was going to cry, Cutsforth chuckled. He didn't, but he said, Frank, I think this was the best outdoor car show I've ever been to. That's the kind of thing that makes you want to keep going. For photos, find the story on our website at canbyfirst.com or follow the Canby Current on Facebook and Instagram. Hundreds of children's books and youth chapter books are on their way to the flood-devastated small town of Whitesburg in eastern Kentucky this week, courtesy of the Friends of the Canby Public Library. The Friends are answering the call of Denise Yantz, superintendent of the Letcher County School District, which lost the libraries of 2 elementary schools and 1 middle school in historic flooding earlier this summer on the North Fork of the Kentucky River. The Friends board members were also inspired by local resident and volunteer Susan Bitter and her soon-to-be 8-year-old granddaughter, Delaney, whose annual habit is to ask for support of a charitable effort rather than gifts for her birthday. This year, she has been asking for books for Letcher County. It's her birthday wish that kids bring donations instead of gifts, Bitter explained. Her dad is from Kentucky and they go back often, so they have really been feeling for the people out there. Bitter ran into several members of the Friends Board of Directors following a recent meeting, and they were eager to help. Susan told us about it at lunch, and we just decided to do it, Friends board member Patty McAlpin said. It was almost 100 pounds of books. It was heavy. The books also contained a note from Bitter with information about Canby and the Friends. It was really fun, she said. It gave us all a good feeling to be able to do something like that. It was an easy decision to make. Whitesburg is one of several communities devastated by flash floods that swept through eastern Kentucky at the end of July. The floods ravaged numerous homes and businesses and destroyed priceless remnants of Appalachian history, like those stored at Apple Shop, a cultural, arts, and media center in downtown Whitesburg. At least 37 people were killed in the historic disaster. The Friends of the Canby Public Library is a volunteer-run, member-based nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting free educational and cultural programming, as well as other needs of the Canby Public Library. Learn more online at canbyoregon.gov/library.
Dude, I'm so excited. When this remodeling project is over, our studio is going to have a full arcade and hot tub. We can play Bubble Bobble with our hot tub bubbles on full blast. Just gotta finish downloading these blueprints and we'll be good to go.
Oh, yeah, man. It's going to be off the Hey, wait a minute. The plans haven't even downloaded yet? How much time is left?
Not much. It looks like just about 14 hours.
14 hours? Dude, we're not building a skyscraper. It's just a one-room remodel. We have to have those plans today or we won't make our deadline.
This would not be a problem if somebody hadn't made us hit our data cap for the month by binge-watching the first 4 seasons of Drop Dead Diva last week.
Hey.
We have super slow download speeds anyway, and that just slowed us down even more because some providers reduce user speeds for going over their data limit.
Well, excuse me for being captivated by Brooke Elliott's perfect balance of heart and humor. I'm only human.
Man, let's just switch to DirectLink already. Then we would have unlimited data with upload speeds up to 10 times faster than our current provider. So we can download our plans in a snap and you can keep binge watching all your guilty pleasures.
Okay, I give. Please call DirectLink and get us set up. I need that hot tub and I do still have 2 seasons of Drop Dead Diva to watch.
For uploads and downloads at the speed of work, visit www.directlink.coop/internet or give them a call at 503-266-8111.
I'm Roz Mason, Democratic candidate for Senate District 26. I'm deeply honored to announce I've also been endorsed by the Independent Party of Oregon. Next time, I'll talk inflation. Here's some context before my next ad. If the income distribution from 1947 to 1974 had held steady, regular people's income would be double today. Instead, income inequality exploded. The top 1% of Americans have taken 50 trillion from the bottom 90%. That's from the title of a Time magazine article you can find online. How did it happen? Wall Street finance deregulation, massive stock buybacks for executive salaries and shareholder profits, overtime rules, and the right to unionize being chipped away, allowing mergers and acquisitions, so now a few companies have near monopolies. We can do better. Until next time, this was paid for by Mason for Oregon 21968.
Okay, why don't you start by telling us your name and title, please? Hard question to start off.
Oh, gee, I don't know if I can handle that one.
I know. Stumper.
Good morning. I am Brian Strunk, and I am Director of Marketing. I have been working with DirectLink for 9 years. So
Awesome. Thanks so much for talking to us.
glad to do it.
So we were wanting to talk to you today about scams, not from DirectLink, obviously, but the scams that you and your team help to cover and inform the members about in our local area and help keep us all safe and secure in our online activities. You guys have always done a great job with that through your various newsletters and other ways that you connect with your membership. And I've always appreciated that about you guys. Wanted to start by asking, why is that such an important part, or a large part, I should say, of the work that you guys do? Why do you think it's important to make sure people stay informed about this type of stuff?
It's a great question, a great way to start the conversation. One of the things that makes DirectLink unique, I feel, is that as a cooperative, we're very invested in the community. We're member owned, which means that if you're a DirectLink subscriber, we answer to our members rather than the way some of large corporations and stuff work. So always having a community focus. Our aim in terms of the service that we provide is putting customers first, and making sure that they are taken care of. Scams have been around for a long time. We know that. I mean,
it didn't start with the internet.
Yeah. I mean, there were phone scams going on even before the internet came along, and it's always been a hassle as a service provider.
And mail before the phone, right?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, I've been in telecom for since the mid 90s. And it's been around as long as I've been working in telecom. And one of the things that we find, and part of the reason we take it so seriously as a service provider, is that it's very impactful to the people that are victims of these things. Sometimes it has to do with things that are impactful to them personally, like finances and other things. And in other cases, it's impactful to the service that they have. A lot of scams these days are about trying to get people to switch service providers or do other things. And so, part of what we focus on is what's in the best interest. And that's making sure that members are able to make informed decisions about what they want, that they protect their privacy online, and that they have the best possible experience working with us as a service provider as possible. We feel this is an important value add, because as a service provider, we have to look out for folks. And this, I think, benefits us as well, because it helps to protect our overall member base. And so we are very protective of, the folks that we do business with and that we provide service to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just when you're talking about, how old this goes back, it reminded me of a story I heard one time. I just looked up the details, but the first ransomware attack, which actually far predates the internet, it was on a series of floppy disks that were sent through the mail to an organization. So in 1989, these floppy disks containing the first known ransomware attack were distributed to the male attendees of the World Health Organization AIDS conference in Stockholm. The disks claimed to be computer-based questionnaires helping to determine the risk of a patient contracting AIDS. They managed to distribute 20,000 copies. And the way it worked is that a few days after the floppy disk was inserted, the computers would lock up with this red screen, and the message would appear demanding money to be sent to a PO box in Panama. And that's
for sure. So, cybersecurity has been an issue as long as people have been using personal computers. And DirectLink takes that very seriously. I know it's a little off topic, but all of our employees, we go through regular cybersecurity training, because there are so many creative ways to exploit weaknesses in networks and things like that, whether it's through social engineering or malware, spyware, other things like that. And, as a service provider, those are topics we deal with as well. We have done community classes on cybersecurity, and, it is again, as an internet provider, all of those topics are very important to us. That's a slightly different take on risk factors versus scams. The thing about scams is that with some know-how and being aware and knowing what's going on and asking the right kinds of questions, you can protect yourself from those things. But it takes a little work, and you have to be aware as things are happening, what are the best practices in terms of how to deal with the scam. And we've got a great collection of members. I know one of the things that we were going to talk about is how do we hear about these things? And a lot of times,
I always picture this elite team in DirectLink headquarters, all outfitted with computers and everywhere, and then an alarm goes off and you guys swing into action. But that's probably a little more fanciful than what actually happens.
That would be cool. I have to admit, I would love to have a big command central things set up like that. And we do oftentimes hear about scams through different channels, for different things. But I think when it's hitting local, some of the first things that we hear are from members giving us a call and saying, hey, what is this and why do I have it? And we can sense trends pretty quickly when we start getting calls in. And, all service providers have this where their membership or their customer base gets targeted. These things go in waves. And if you get 2 or 3 or 4 calls from people asking about a certain thing, then certainly it's where we step into action and try to start educating, the general public on what's going on, in particular things and events that are happening in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good segue to my next question as well, which is just, are there any current scams that you guys are really concerned about and wanting to inform people about, or sort of overall trends, maybe not a specific beware of, XYZ, but this is a type of way that bad actors seem to be trying to capture people right now?
The most recent one that comes to mind was actually a telephone scam where we had people using the phone to call our business customers, and they were identifying themselves as DirectLink employees, making false claims about the company and saying, if you want to protect your service, you need to do this for stuff. And they represented themselves to be DirectLink employees. Wow. Completely false, completely inaccurate. And, again, I think the company has done a good job of educating employees, because we had lots of folks call us up to say, I didn't fall for it because I knew right away it wasn't you guys. When we started asking questions, company specific things, they couldn't answer it. And for the most part, if you've got a question like that, it is good to follow up with us at DirectLink rather than, trying to go it on your own. If anything sounds or seems suspicious, it probably is suspicious. If it seems like it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. I mean, there's certain things that we're not going to do. We're not going to call you out of the blue and ask for personal information and financial credentials and things like that. We take privacy very seriously. And even if people were to call us as a service provider, we have an authentication process that we go through to verify people's identities. That's also very important. But this latest scam, it was pretty pervasive, and it wasn't just DirectLink. There were other companies that were swept up and impacted by that. But it's so common in this day and age. They try to make themselves appear legitimate. We've had email scams that have gone out where you look at the email and, by golly, it looks like it came from DirectLink. But if you look at the links of where it's trying to send you, it's, sometimes if you hover your mouse over a URL or a link in a thing, your browser should tell you where it's about to send you before you click on it. And if you look at where it's wanting to send you, it's not someplace good, and it's certainly not to a DirectLink site for things. So, we always encourage people, ask us, give us a call directly, and you can call our main number, and our tech support team can pretty much give you, or our member services team can get you the information you need to make an informed decision about that. And most of the time, it's a scam. I mean, once in a while, somebody will get an unexpected communication from us because we do service updates and maintenance updates for people. And if it's a legitimate update from DirectLink, we'll say, yep, we sent you that letter, or yes, we did send this email. We'll confirm it for you. If it's not a communication that we recognize, then it's something that should be avoided, deleted.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a really good tip, and maybe not something that folks would necessarily know about, although it sounds like a lot of your members do. But just, if you do notice something weird, even if you just have a little tickle in the back of your brain, and I've actually done that before, not with DirectLink, I don't think, but when somebody's calling, it did turn out to be legitimate, but before giving any information, like, I'm just going to hang up, and, it was an expected call, but just wanted to make sure and call them back, and they were like, no problem. So it's always good to be careful.
One of the things one of the things we've been doing more recently in the last couple of years is we put together a suite of pages on our website, because these are just seem to be coming more frequently, and we wanted our members to be educated about that. And if you go to the directlink.coop website and you look under the support pages, there's a whole section for scam stuff, and we cover phone scams, email scams, all of that stuff is in there. If it's something that we've heard about, and in particular, if it's something that's impactful to our members, if it's something that's come our way, we will put that out there. And if we know there's an active scam going on at any given time, you will typically see a post on our social media or on our company newsfeed on the website that gives people an alert. Hey, heads up, this is happening. And there have been times when it's been pervasive enough that we have actually proactively contacted members and said, hey, this is happening, please be aware, for things. Yeah. So, we try to be as conscious as possible. We can't stay on top of everything. And again, sometimes we don't hear about it until after some people have been impacted. But the minute we do hear about it, it's something that we take very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. What are, Brian, maybe some other good, just general tips for avoiding scams, staying safe in our online and technological activities? A
couple different things. I would say if it's a phone situation and it doesn't sound quite right, just don't continue the conversation. You could say, I'm going to call the company and confirm with them. If it's something legitimate that DirectLink is doing, you call us directly, we'll let you know, and we can get you connected to the right people to handle that. Usually the triggers are things that you need to watch for, or if they're asking you for personal information, there's things that DirectLink is not going to solicit from you in an email or a phone. Number one, we're your service provider. We pretty much have what we need already. We don't need to come to the members and ask for confidential information and things. And, for those things that come via email, again, look for clues as to what may make this seem, not legitimate. One thing that often happens is that there are subtle spelling errors in an email where it looks like it's sending you to a DirectLink website, but maybe the website's not spelled quite the same way as our website. That is a common thing that we see. And, not to say that DirectLink 100% every time gets everything.
Never makes a mistake.
And whatnot. Mistakes do happen. We've had some legitimate typos go out the door, but we really try not to do that. The typos that I'm talking about are things that your brain would skip over, where DirectLink as a company is spelled wrong or the URL is spelled wrong. The internet is not very forgiving. If you misspell a website, it's not going to take you to the place that you want to go. Right. And if something looks close, but it's not quite right, those are not links that you want to click on.
Hey, Tyler, read any good books lately?
Yeah, actually, I'm reading a really good one right now.
Awesome. What's it about?
It's kind of complicated, but there's like these two kids with an absent parent, and then this mysterious stranger shows up with his sinister accomplices, and they just start wreaking havoc in their lives. I think it's like a Faustian metaphor.
Wow, that sounds really dense.
It is.
Interesting, though. Who wrote it?
I think it's like a doctor. Starts with like an S or something. Sos.
Tyler, are you reading The Cat in the Hat?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to. It's taken me like 2 months to get this far.
Okay. Well, hey, whatever your interest or reading level, open the world of all things books at the Book Nook in downtown Canby.
Yeah, guys, this local, independently owned and operated store is your one-stop shop for the latest releases and great deals on a huge variety of previously owned books, as well as games, art, and writing supplies and gifts.
They also do book clubs and game nights if you're looking for some fun, healthy activities right here in Canby. And hey, for you, Tyler, they have a really expansive selection of children's books.
Oh, cool. Anyway, check them out on Facebook and Instagram, online at booknookcanby.com, or stop by 294 Northwest 2nd Avenue and let their friendly staff introduce you to your new favorite read. Hey, Frankie, why do you think I'd be interested in children's books?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay.
One thing that I've read about, and I think that people are seeing more and more, and you can probably confirm, Brian, is you'll notice in the tone as well. Will often with some of these attempted scams and attacks will be a sort of a very urgent tone, like you need to address this now, or some emergency has happened with your account, or, there's been some discrepancy or whatnot, and the police are after you or whatever, which is, it can be very scary, I'm sure, to folks, and that's probably why they're effective. But I imagine if there was something legitimate, I don't even know what it would be, but if there was some legitimate DirectLink emergency, you guys would not be communicating through email, right? It would be a phone call at the very least.
We don't use scare tactics, and
Right.
You're absolutely right, Tyler. When it comes to especially some of the verbal conversations, they will create that sense of urgency. If you don't act now, you will lose service.
Yeah.
Stuff. That's, DirectLink is very upfront, and we're not threatening. We don't scare people. We're not going to have those kinds of conversations with people that it's 7:00 at night, and if you don't go out and send money to this address, that's not how we're going to do things.
Yeah.
If they ask you to do something weird, like buy gift cards and send the numbers to a certain place, that's kind of a common scam that is out there, because it's easy for them to take those gift card numbers and turn them into cash somewhere else. We don't operate that way. Our billing procedures and our service procedures are very well defined, and people who have been with us, they know how we do things. We're not going to do anything wonky or crazy like that. And we're not going to scare you.
Yeah.
So always, when in doubt, call the company, and we will give you the information you need to make an informed decision on stuff.
Yeah. I have to say, talking about some of this stuff in a sort of dispassionate and distanced type of manner, some of it almost sounds ridiculous. And I imagine there are people listening that might feel like, how could anyone ever fall for this? But I do want to underscore the very real threat that folks do. You may be surprised how susceptible you might be in a certain context, a certain frame of mind. These folks are everywhere because they often do get what they want. So it is good to be informed, be vigilant, not underestimate the dangers that are out there for you or for maybe a more vulnerable loved one.
You're absolutely right, Tyler. I mean, some of these folks are really good at what they do, and they will start out with a casual conversation, and they generally gently turn up the heat as you go along. And before you know it, it's really tricky. They've gotten very, very sophisticated with how they get you from point A to point B in this. And certainly everybody can be subject to this on an off day, or you make a mistake. It happens to everyone at some point or another, where, oh my gosh, I clicked on that. I shouldn't have clicked on that. Or, I was in a conversation with someone and they had called me and they asked me a leading question, and I say something, and they use that as a acknowledgement that I want their service, when that's not the case. So they have a way of twisting words and twisting conversations, and try to, all of a sudden you start getting a mysterious bill from some third party in another state that says, oh, well, you signed up for our service over the phone and you said yes when we asked you a question. And it's really hard. Right. My advice to everybody is, don't ever be rushed into anything. If somebody has created that sense of urgency and they want you to make a decision right now, you don't have to. You can take your time. You can think about it. You can research it and deal with it later. But when in doubt, leave it out. Don't. Right. If there's any sense that something's not quite right, you can disengage from that conversation or from that email and let us know, and we'll walk you through any questions that may come up with that.
Right.
Now we do our best. We can't necessarily answer every scam problem that's out there. Typically, things that are affecting our members and things that are affecting our network, if it's, an email scam or telephone scam, we do try to stay in touch on that. But scams happen in other ways. Sometimes people knock on your door and do something face to face. So it's out there. There are bad actors everywhere, but I still like to think there's a lot of good people in the world, and we help each other out. And as much as we can, DirectLink is going to be here to help out our members for things.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that, Brian, and thanks for taking so much time today to inform us about this stuff. If again, anyone listening feels that they may have been impacted by something like this, or if that happens in the future, or a loved one, what's the recommended course of action for that?
So, from a service perspective, DirectLink can help. Some of the things that we've seen recently are scammers that try to get you to change your long distance company. And then all of a sudden they send you very egregious long distance bills. Even when you're not making phone calls, they will send you that. Things like that we can help fix. We can do things like if you are worried about somebody, making a change to your long distance, you can put a freeze on your account so that long distance can't be changed as easily with things and are requested by another company. It's called a pick freeze, and we do recommend people that are in a situation that's one thing that they can do, and we will certainly work with you. When it comes to fraud being committed, fraud is a whole different story, and that's something that we need to refer over to law enforcement. If people are victims of identity theft or fraud, or funds have been stolen, DirectLink's not in a position to solve those problems, and it happens all too often. We would definitely refer people over to law enforcement to start dealing with those kinds of issues, and it just depends on the extent of the things that are going on. But if there's a problem that ends up relating to phone service, long distance, your internet service, we want to be able to work with our members, regarding that. But we can't solve some of the greater problems that come because of scams. And that's a shame, because it can be very impactful, in some cases. And we certainly want to do as much as we can to educate people ahead of time. So it never gets to that point.
Yeah. And obviously this is not what, that we're talking about today, or going into detail about today, but obviously the internet is a vast web, and some of these actors are in other countries, maybe even outside of U.S. jurisdiction. And I know it can often feel like, that they're just beyond reach, and sometimes that is the case. But I do just want to say, people may be surprised at how advanced even the local law enforcement at Canby Police and Clackamas County Sheriff have gotten in their abilities to track some of these activities. So definitely don't despair. Definitely, if you have been a victim of this, do reach out to your local, in most cases, non-emergency number, and give them a call and see what they can do to help you out. What about staying informed via DirectLink, just staying up on this type of stuff for folks that maybe aren't already plugged into some of your updates and newsletters and things? How can they connect with you and stay informed, Brian?
We are active on social media and encourage people to reach out to us if something is coming, if something has come up. You can find us on Facebook and other platforms. Also, send us an email. We have our email addresses published on our website and our phone number. We are glad to talk with people and provide assistance that way. We occasionally do classes on cybersecurity and scams and things like that. And there are a number of really terrific sites online where people can go to get educated on these types of things. We've got some links on our website that, if you go to the scam page, we do link out to the FTC consumer information page regarding scams. And there's a lot of great information there that people can, utilize, even answers to questions, what to do if you get scammed, and what's the latest consumer advice. We don't try to reinvent the wheel, because the FTC has done a good job of putting all of that together.
Have a little more resources than you do.
Yeah, and we do link out to that from our website that people can go to get more information on those things. So that's out there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Brian, again, and just really appreciate your time and all the work that you and your team does at DirectLink.
Yeah, I was glad to have the conversation, and I have to say, you guys have been terrific partners for us as well. I have definitely enjoyed a lot of the podcast episodes, and some of the work that you guys have done on the ad spots and the promo spots. They are really terrific. You guys have done a great job with those. I have listened to them more than once.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, we always have fun with those.
Yeah. All right. Well, do let me know if there's anything else you need.
After a bit of a false start up in Gladstone, the Clackamas County Fair found its permanent home right here in Canby. In May of 1909, the County Fair Association made it official, purchasing the magnificent 40-acre tract that would become the heart of the Clackamas County Fairgrounds from C.N. Waite, son and heir of former Oregon Supreme Court Chief Justice Aaron Waite. Waite and the entire fair board packed into an automobile owned by Canby Canal President W.B. Moore and headed over to the Oregon City office of another fair booster, Judge Thomas F. Ryan, where the deeds were already prepared and just waiting to be signed. Money changed hands, and the deal was sealed. Very little time was consumed in this transaction, the Oregonian later recorded. Mr. Moore made the run with his auto from Canby to Oregon City, including the stop to pick up Fair Association President George Lazelle in 22 minutes. On the return trip, 26 minutes were used in getting back. Plans were already being made to bolster the barns, arenas, and other outbuildings that had been slapped together for the 1908 fair, including a grandstand capable of holding 2,000 spectators and bleachers that could hold 2,000 more. These, of course, were centered around the fairgrounds racetrack, which was already gaining a reputation as one of the fastest and finest half-mile tracks on the entire West Coast. Races were held throughout the year, not just during the fair, and regularly drew thousands of fans and large purses for the winners. At the 1909 fair, though, it wasn't only the horses that drew rave reviews. The apples of Hood River are world beaters, but they have no edge over those of Clackamas County, the Oregonian declared after the fair wrapped up on October 3rd. This fact is evidenced by the purchase of about 60 boxes of the finest apples of Clackamas County that were on exhibit last week at the 3rd annual Clackamas County Fair. The man who bought them was none other than C.L. Rogers, a well-known grower and owner of 2 large fruit ranches in Hood River. The spectacle of a Hood River man buying Clackamas County apples is an unusual one, the newspaper noted, and has spurred the local fundraisers to further effort. The 1910 fair established a new tradition, the crowning of a queen to preside over the festivities. The Fair Association collected votes for a month with ballot boxes at local drugstores. For a penny each, you could cast as many votes as you liked. The race was open to any young woman of Clackamas County, and many were mentioned as candidates by newspaper coverage of the event. But when the ballots were tallied up, it was, appropriately, a popular young lady of Canby who was named Her Royal Highness. Ora Lee, the 20-year-old granddaughter of 2 of the town's founders, Philander and Anna Lee, and cousin of Mr. Canby himself, M.J. Lee, was indeed Canby royalty, and the election, as it turned out, was not particularly close. Miss Ora Lee received 11,300 votes, the Oregonian said, while her nearest competitor received 3,200. Ouch. The 1910 fair drew nearly 6,000, a record, with the exhibits and races drawing rave reviews. The fruit and vegetables were almost marvelous in their perfection, a reporter later wrote, and showed what Clackamas County and the northern Willamette Valley can raise when they try. The return of the Baby Show, sort of a pre-Steve Harvey version of Family Feud, was also popular, with more than 50 entries. The best-natured baby was owned by Mrs. W.M. Randall, the largest by Mrs. C.W. Fallert. The youngest entry was a child of Mrs. D.E. Bach, the oldest C.H. Dye, an attorney from Oregon City. And a dairy contest was instituted, which went over so well that fair boosters decided on the spot to make it a permanent feature. In 1911, the city of Canby held its first 4th of July celebration at the county fairgrounds and was, in the words of the Canby Tribune, a big success in every way. All the attractions were pulled off as advertised, and from morning until night, there was not a dull moment, the newspaper recorded in its usual colorful, breathless way. The day was ideal, and a large crowd was present to help celebrate our Day of Independence. The day was ushered in with a salute of guns at sunrise that jarred the town like the San Francisco earthquake. Some even hint that saluters used dynamite. The Canby event featured horse races, baseball, and other athletic events, and, of course, fireworks. The Canby Band led a parade from the railroad depot down to the fairgrounds, the highlight of which was a Liberty car drawn by 4 big sled horses. It was a thing of beauty, the Tribune said, from the decorations to the sweet little goddess of liberty and her fair maids, and the little tots representing the states all dressed in white and blue badges. The baseball game between the Chemawa Indians and Canby was taken by the home team, but only after extra innings. Canby took the 11-inning decision, 2-1.
Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Yeah, heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah, they also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildharesaloon.net. Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden. So a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website, olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.